Hello everybody and welcome to the Sonic Frontiers Starfall Tournament. This is the final episode in the What If series that investigates how events of Sonic Frontiers could have played out differently if the End used the tournament to set itself free from its cyberspace prison. We are at the finals, the last match between Shadow and Mephiles. There is no one else left to fight beyond this. So, let's see how this tale comes to an end. But before we do, please, if you enjoy this series or this video, leave a like and subscribe so I know that it was worthwhile for you guys. Most importantly though, please share this video and series around so that others can participate and enjoy the tale. Now, we will finally see how this plays out. The Starfall Tournament is quiet and barren. A stage hosts but one individual, smoking with purple flame, as he looks to the only other person here, Shadow the Hedgehog, waiting at the side of the arena, staring down the ever-dark Mephiles.
Come, Shadow. It's time we put an end to this charade. You cannot possibly fathom how long I've waited for this.
Shadow makes his way onto the arena, his sight never leaving Mephiles as he does so, and likewise, Mephiles tracks his every movement.
Once I am through with you, all of this existence will come to a standstill, and I will reshape it to what it always should have been. Just why are you so intent on bringing doom to the world? Doom? I do not offer doom. I offer salvation. This world has gone drastically off course due to the meddling of you mortals. And let me ask of you, why do you so diligently defend this world? It will betray you. Its people will try to reduce you, to make you something which you are not, to change your very nature. You could have stood with me, but you chose to push me away. And now, the only thing I offer you is a grim end.
Shadow glares.
Perhaps it will. Perhaps it won't. But the only thing that matters right now is that you're a threat to the world, and I'm the only one left to put a stop to you.
He moves his hands towards his inhibitors.
Oh, starting with your best trick, are we?
Shadow flinches.
Oh, I know much about you, Shadow. Now it's time you learn just who I am.
Mephiles' body flares with purple flame as Shadow clips off his inhibitor rings, unleashing the full power of his chaos heritage as energy surges throughout him, sending a shockwave across the arena. Mephiles is unaffected, and he immediately launches an attack, throwing his open palm in Shadow's direction as a force of energy invisible to the eye pulses across, cracking the surface of the arena and shoving Shadow back. He holds his arms out against it, but his body is still shunted across the floor. The energy flowing off of Shadow wavers and flickers from the sheer intensity. Mephiles doesn't stop at one and throws out a second with his other arm, throwing Shadow off balance, but he remains standing. Then Mephiles fires yet another shockwave. This time, Shadow holds his hands out in front to try and dissipate it, reducing the effect somewhat. As Shadow looks over his arms, he can see that floating in the air are three identical clones of Mephiles, holding their hands together as they summon a large dark orb between them.
Look at me!
Shadow quickly shifts his attention to the true Mephiles, who throws a barrage of his signature dark spheres towards him. Shadow coats his hands in chaos energy as he slices through them, dispersing their energy before they can do him any harm. But whilst he was doing so, Mephiles appears before him and attempts to grab him. Fully aware of the impending threat that sphere in the back presents him, Shadow starts revving up a spin dash, empowering it with the wellspring of chaos energy at his disposal. This causes a vortex-like effect to start swirling around him. Mephiles stumbles as he sees his own flames start being pulled in. The arena itself becomes like a whirlwind. The Mephiles clones dispersed and ripped apart by the powerful winds pulling them towards Shadow, causing the giant sphere to disperse into chaotic energy. Mephiles himself loses his form, turning to dark, as Shadow is enwrapped by the purple energies of Mephiles. He then transitions from his spin into a jump, hopping up above the pressurized air he's just created, and beneath him, it erupts into a dark explosion, launching him further up into the air, but he avoids any of the harmful effects, leaving the arena completely cracked, scarred, and stained with dark. As Shadow descends back to the ground, Mephiles appears from a cloud of smoke and attempts to strike him, but Shadow manages to guard by raising his arm in front of his head. Before Mephiles gets another chance to act, Shadow grabs his face and then boosts down towards the arena's surface. They plummet like a missile, exploding on impact, sending more debris all across the arena. As Shadow gets up and recovers from it, Mephiles is already reforming, bouncing like a wave on the sand, but Shadow was aware of this and had charged straight towards Mephiles' new spot, striking at him with empowered strikes, unleashing bursts of chaos energy with each hit, slower than usual but twice as strong. Mephiles loses an arm in a crunch as it disperses, and then Shadow catches him across the face, bursting it open as a spew of shadow and darkness sprays out from the now open wound at the top of his body. But Mephiles' remaining arm clutches the purple Chaos Emerald, and it creates an energy wave that pushes Shadow away as it restores Mephiles' body to what it once was. But once again, Shadow's not here to wait around, and he immediately teleports behind Mephiles to deliver another decisive blow. Huh? But this time, he stutters, as shifting through his own face, the twisted form of Mephiles' eyes appears in the back of his own skull. His arms snap and reverse position to grab Shadow's attack from behind. Mephiles then strikes Shadow in the chest with a concentrated burst of dark energy that spews through his torso out of his back, causing Shadow to gasp as his aura wavers. He's sent tumbling back by the strike. Fighting against the force, Shadow slams his hand into the surface of the arena, ripping up more chunks of it as he skids to a halt, raising his arms up. Chaos! And he summons a horde of glowing lights around his body. Spear! Throwing all of the Chaos Spears towards Mephiles' position. Pitiful. Mephiles sends a bunch of his clones to charge headfirst into the Chaos Spears, negating them all, striking the clones rather than Mephiles himself. Yet, thanks to his immense speed, Shadow skates round towards Mephiles during the clash of spear and clone, and wraps his arm around his neck. Blast! A giant red glow detonates across the arena, shredding any tiles that remained of the original stone platform as it digs into the earth, forming a large crater. A plume of smoke bellows into the sky, and the invisible barrier that protects the outside of the arena ripples under the pressure. As the smoke begins to clear, Mephiles appears to have been completely destroyed. But the purple Chaos Emerald floats in the air, and with an intense glow, Mephiles' shadow starts forming around it as he is once again reformed.
You shall not evade your reckoning this time.
Mephiles throws his wrist forward and shoots the soul-rending laser from his fingertips that's claimed so many people's lives this tournament, but Shadow easily dodges. Mephiles anticipated this and uses his other hand to shoot another one. Then his first hand fires again. He starts shooting rapidly, beam after beam, trying to track Shadow's location and predict where he's going to go next. Shadow, thanks to his high speed, is able to evade this barrage, but he knows all too well what could happen if he drops his guard down. And unfortunately, despite being fast, Mephiles is smart enough to cover his body and swing his arms around with these lasers, which means that even if Shadow did get in close enough to land a hit, he might not destroy Mephiles in time before he gets hit by one of the beams.
It seems our match has come to somewhat of a standstill.
Mephiles laughs as the emerald glows once again, channeling its power. He encapsulates the crater within a strange, warping energy that freezes time entirely.
At last, victory, well earned.
He points his fingers towards Shadow's head to fire his beam, but whilst he does so, he neglected to notice a trickling digital effect surrounding Shadow's mouth, as despite time being frozen and his movements being slowed down, he still says,
Chaos Control!
The purple emerald glows again in response to Shadow's demand, and he too is able to move around despite time being frozen.
What?
Mephiles' laser misses as he was caught off guard by Shadow's reversal. They stand in a place now removed from time, their surroundings monotone and still. They eye each other down and then charge towards each other, boosting with all their might. They clash in the center, causing a shockwave that's yet to happen. Mephiles claws across Shadow's head, which he ducks under, and then flips backwards to kick Mephiles' chin, which he does, but Mephiles simply takes the hit and flings his head back down with a torrent of dark energy following him, smashing the ground. It rips a boulder of earth off the ground from the impact, but mere seconds after it leaves the ground, it slows to a stop, floating there, unmoving in time. Shadow jumps on this boulder and starts spin dashing around, gaining momentum, catapulting himself off of it straight into Mephiles. Ugh! He's pushed back until they slam into the side of the crater, with Shadow still spinning into his chest. Mephiles phases through as a cloud of darkness past Shadow, reforming behind him. Shadow turns around, his hand enveloped in a golden light. Chaos Rift! He slashes across Mephiles with this palm, and a break in the fabric of reality opens up, a void looking like a cosmic nebula, pulling Mephiles inside of it. He's sucked in, losing his form into a cloud of dust that gets completely absorbed by the rift. His presence removed, time resumes. The boulder smashes to the earth, and a bunch of debris crashes onto the ground, the sound of their impacts finally being audible after the delay. Shadow remains focused on the rift, feeling his own power beginning to ebb away after the extended fight. However, the rift then ripples. He raises his arm just in case, as something bubbles forth from the center, swirling around like a vortex of black, as it pulses out, breaking some of the sides of the crater that they stand within. As swirling around, nothing more than a head and some arms, Mephiles spins to face Shadow.
I have traveled through time and space to arrive here this day. You thought you could stop me? Time is my domain.
He throws his arms forward, sending another pulse of energy, this time strong enough to knock Shadow onto his feet, as the rift breaks apart, allowing Mephiles to truly return back into this realm. Shadow picks himself back up with haste and starts charging towards Mephiles once again. A surprise attack from behind. Mephiles had summoned a clone, and it struck Shadow in the back with his beam. Now, the ultimate lifeform was able to detect this attack, but not soon enough. As a result, the beam did not go straight through his chest, but instead grazed the side. He tumbles onto his knees as he grips his side, his aura flickering uncontrolled from the spot, as if pouring out from the wound. Whilst there's no visible damage, it feels as if his own life force was being siphoned by the attack every moment it struck him. Mephiles points his hands towards Shadow once again.
This is it, Shadow. Fall to ruin!
He fires his beam dead on to Shadow's position. Not having the mobility to dodge out the way in time, Shadow instead focuses all of his remaining strength into his palm as he summons the Chaos Orb technique and holds it in front of the beam.
Worthless. Give in.
Shadow struggles as he's pushed back inch by inch, holding his arm out. It feels like it's on fire and it could break any second, but he maintains the Chaos Sphere as the energy pours into it. When he can't take any more, Shadow teleports behind Mephiles and thrusts his hand with the Chaos Sphere inside the Dark Being's back.
What?
Be gone! The energy of Mephiles' own attack, concentrated down within the smaller Chaos Sphere, detonates inside his own back, causing a blinding explosion that engulfs the entire crater, strong enough to break the barrier down that's meant to contain them within the arena. Shadow is blown off of his feet, up past the lip of the crater, and onto the ground to the side, with his power siphoned away. Mephiles does not fare as well, as his body is torn apart, atom by atom, until nothing but an emerald and a cloud of darkness remains. Shadow barely has the strength to lift himself to his feet, as he hobbles back to the edge of the crater and looks down to see the emerald and Mephiles.
I will return again. You can never be rid of your shadow.
Mephiles disperses to the wind, this time not to regenerate. Shadow collapses onto his knees and takes a deep breath.
Gah!
The tournament is over. The fight is won. Shadow is the winner. The End speaks up and congratulates Shadow, asking what is his wish. Shadow responds,
Set my allies free. Restore what has been done to them. But leave my enemies behind.
The End acknowledges Shadow's wish and states it shall be so. But then its voice warps, becoming not one, but many different voices speaking the same lines, echoing all together, as it then threatens, saying that this shall be so if he lives long enough to see it. A shade suddenly rises from the crater, larger than anything seen before in this tournament, made of a dark energy, but not the same as Mephiles. It hovers over the sky, looming there, before flying off into the atmosphere. The night sky transitions to day. Seemingly it was another facet of cyberspace. Nonetheless, Shadow looks up disgruntled at whatever the End meant, as he's drained of his energy and unable to pursue meaningfully.
Oh, Shadow!
Doctor? Floating above in an Eggmobile was a very familiar mustached man.
Correct! I should have known you would make it to the end. How are you here? Bah! Surely you didn't think my genius could have been encapsulated by such primitive effects.
Sage appears beside Dr. Eggman. I managed to keep him safe by warping him to cyberspace myself. This avoided the usual trappings of imprisonment and bought us valuable time. Time which is now severely running out.
Yes, well, it still wouldn't have worked without my intelligence. But she's right, Shadow. Surely you must be aware now that the being hosting our little tournament possesses great power. I've learned much in my time here. It threatens our very world. Its goal is total annihilation. We cannot allow it to happen.
Shadow sighs, still on his knees.
I'm out of energy. There's nothing left I can do. Oh, since when were you a quitter? I see you have a Chaos Emerald. Excellent. That means we still have a chance. I've been putting plans together just in case of an event like this. Unfortunately, some of those factors failed to grow into fruition, but with you and that Chaos Emerald, we still have a chance. Come, Shadow. We must put a stop to this.
With great labor, Shadow rises to his feet.
Fine. Lead the way, Doctor.
Eggman flies off in his Eggmobile alongside Sage, with Shadow skating behind, still exhausted. After journeying, they arrive at an open clearing surrounded by sparse trees and lots of grass, but looming over, catching the eye from a long distance away, is a strange humanoid robot creature, seemingly standing limp, unmoving. Once they get close, a blue blur is seen zipping from the surface down to the ground, meeting Eggman and Co. at the base of the robot.
Hey Shadow, long time no see! Sonic, the one and only, good to see you again. How are you here?
Me? Oh, when I disappeared, I was being captured by some cyberspace thing, but I was able to outrun it. I've been on all sorts of adventures since then. There are all these really giant, and then coming from the sky is Tails. He flies down beside them. Shadow notices his body is translucent and blue, like a hologram. Sonic, we don't have time for this right now. Yeah, I know. Are you all caught up, Shadow?
I have no idea what is going on. And allow me to enlighten you, Shadow. We've been taking part in some ancient ritual created by beings long since forgotten. They are the ones that created the cyberspace realm, as well as trapping the End within it. In my studies, these ancient beings seem to be the ancestors of Chaos. They are the ones that brought the Chaos Emeralds to our world. But they brought the End with them. The audacity.
Sage chips in. The End destroyed their home planet. They fled here as refugees and used the Chaos Emeralds to power giant machines called Titans. supposedly to defend themselves. Unfortunately for them, they failed, so in a last-ditch effort, they trapped the End within the cyber realm. Yeah, and then to make double sure, they added a stipulation that didn't allow the End to leave without a grand tournament taking place. Of course, there was no one here to take place in a tournament. That is, until we arrived.
Then why wouldn't it have done this far earlier? Well, I may have been doing some meddling before, but
All but Sage stares at him.
Look, that's not important right now. The issue is that we're all about to be destroyed by this creature, unless we can work together. You'll see, Sonic, that I have found the 7th Chaos Emerald, just as I promised.
How generous, Eggman. You're always a pal when your life's on the line. Sage cuts in. We don't have time for this. Your safety is in danger. We must act now.
Yes, we must continue with our plan, now that we have the emeralds.
Sonic looks to Shadow. We can't do this without your help, buddy. Do you have one more fight in you? Shadow looks to his wrists, missing his inhibitor rings, not allowing his energy to recuperate.
Ah, yes, that little problem. Here.
Eggman hands him spare inhibitor rings from a component within his Eggmobile.
I guess I never got rid of these. You know, Shadow, it was much better when you did work for me.
Shadow clips them on and looks to Sonic.
Alright then, I'm in.
In that case, Sonic brings out the remaining 6 Chaos Emeralds. He nods to Shadow, and Shadow looks at him back. The emeralds swirl around them, sparkling with a glowing light, until, engulfing the 2 hedgehogs, they emerge once more in their super forms.
Oh yeah! It's time to rock and roll! Let's finish this!
A few minutes later, the team has assembled around the Supreme Titan. Within the control center, Dr. Eggman looks out the glass to see Shadow. He gives him a thumbs up to see if Shadow is ready. In response, Super Shadow slowly turns his head towards Dr. Eggman and looks at him apathetically.
Good enough.
He turns around to address his allies.
Sage, how's the operations of the Supreme Titan?
All systems nominal. We're ready to go on your command. Miles' assistance has been most helpful in finishing on time. Oh, thanks! That was not a compliment. Oh, okay then.
What about the rodent?
Eggman pulls the microphone to his mouth.
Can you hear me, Sonic? Are you set up in there? This plan relies on you, as much as I begrudge to say it. You must generate enough power to destroy the End.
I've got juice for days, Eggman. You should know. Thanks for worrying about me, though.
Oh, shut it!
And he turns the microphone off. Tails speaks up. I still have some doubts about this. The cannon wasn't designed to fire something like supersonic.
Don't get cold feet on me now, Fox Boy. The cannon was your idea.
Yeah, I just don't want anything to happen to Sonic.
Gah! If we're all ready, then we should go. Let's stop wasting time.
And with that, Supreme takes off, being piloted by Eggman, Tails, and Sage. Supersonic rests in the chamber of Supreme's gun cannon, while Shadow flies from the outside. They leave the world and head into space. Looming over the world, they see a giant purple moon, the form the End has assumed to destroy all of existence. As Shadow flies ahead of Supreme towards it, it speaks to them all. With a collection of voices, it speaks, telling them they have served their purpose, and now they will face their end. It is the all-consuming void. It has consumed gods and worlds. It is everything. It is nothing. It is the end. Within Supreme, Eggman barks orders.
Tails, now! Charge the supersonic cannon!
On it! Sonic, it's time! Tails presses a button as certain devices appear inside the chamber of the weapon that Sonic resides.
Alright, here it goes!
Sonic starts revving up a super spin dash as the appliances surround him, siphoning his power. Meanwhile, on the outside, the End starts shooting at the Supreme with bolts of darkness. Hundreds of them emerge from its large figure and arc into homing line towards Supreme. Eggman speaks to Shadow through the microphone.
Shadow, we're relying on you to defend us. Keep it at bay while we charge the cannon.
Shadow starts throwing his Super Chaos Spear towards the End's projectiles. In his super form, the Chaos Spears are a deep red and detonate with blasts on hit. These blasts take out multiple enemy attacks at once, giving him a fighting chance.
You're not getting past me!
The End continues firing hordes and hordes of these energy blasts. Shadow has to try his utmost to keep them at bay, throwing spears every moment he possibly can. But it's clear he's losing ground, as a seemingly infinite amount of these attacks keep on coming after them. Shadow quickly reaches towards his inhibitor rings.
Stop, Shadow! If you do that, you may have a brief burst of power. But should the cannon not be ready by the time you've run out, then we'll have nothing to defend us.
Shadow strains as he quickly retaliates against more of the incoming attacks. One of them gets past, so he throws some spears out and quickly moves in front of it, holding his arms out to catch the blast.
Without it, I can't hold on.
He manages to disperse the projectile, but all it does is allow him to see the thousands more heading his way. He doesn't have enough time to break them all. A couple strike Supreme. We're taking structural damage! Mitigating as much as I can!
Shadow! We are counting on you!
Then he hears a voice from his side. Allow me to assist! A burning flame soars past Shadow and strikes at the projectiles he was unable to hit, burning them into nothing. Shadow looks.
Blaze?
Floating before him with her hands firing against the enemy attacks is none the less than Burning Blaze, her coat red with fire.
You took your time. I thought you weren't coming.
I'm sorry. Those titans were tougher foes than I thought. But I've acquired all the soul emeralds, and now I will help you defend Supreme. Shadow, I'll burn away the light.
Then I'll take out the dark.
Together, Burning Blaze and Super Shadow resume shooting back at the End, Shadow targeting its darker projectiles, whilst Blaze burning the lighter ones. The two of them working together is effective at halting the End's attacks, so it changes its strategy. The small projectiles stop appearing, and instead, a large, charging purple light appears in front. It's clear the End is focusing its efforts into a concentrated blast.
You cannot allow that attack to land! It will destroy us all! Blaze, lend me your power.
You've got it, Shadow. Shadow starts curling around and spins.
Chaos!
Blaze cups her hands around Shadow and engulfs him with her fire, throwing her arms forward. Nova! She fires a small beam of flame. At the tip is Shadow, engulfed in golden fire. The End shoots its giant purple beam towards them, and he pierces into it, struggling against it as he spins around a light. He strains as he feels his body burning away from the power, but he can't give up. If he quits, everything he's fought for will be for nothing. All will end. Blaze struggles also, trying to keep Shadow propelled forward with her own fire. They both have to output everything they've got against this attack, so they can't do it for long.
Tails, now! Fire the cannon!
The cannon's breaking apart!
It's now or never. Everyone, take aim! Ready? Supersonic cannon! Fire!
Supreme raises its arms holding its giant cannon and pulls the trigger. A golden blast fires out as Supersonic and all of his condensed energy being generated is unleashed at once, soaring past Shadow and Blaze straight into the End. The threatening moon collapses in on its wound, falling under the immense pressure of its own power, punctured by Supersonic, and then it explodes, leaving nothing left behind of its former self. Supersonic floats down beside his allies. We did it! We won! It's over. Supreme, Eggman, Sage, Tails, Sonic, Shadow, and Blaze descend back down to the Earth. Once they arrive, they all return to the site of the tournament. Tails' body returning back to its proper state, no longer a hologram. Sonic ruffles his head along the way as his body returns. I wouldn't have been able to get that far without all of your help, Tails. Thanks for looking out for me even when you were indisposed. Ha! It's nothing, Sonic. Good job collecting all those emeralds, otherwise we would have been in trouble.
Let's not forget about my genius plans!
Let us not also forget Shadow. If not for him, we would never have gotten our hands on the final emerald. Thanks. Once they arrive, they find most of the combatants who were eliminated in the tournament have returned, free from imprisonment, resting by the side of the crater that was once the arena. Amy can be seen having a group hug with Cream, Sticks, and Tangle as they celebrate being free. Whisper and General stand in front of them, keeping away an aggressive-looking Surge from interfering with their happiness. Elsewhere, Silver is sat on a rock, holding his body with a mixture of relief and surprise on his face. Knuckles is found talking with the Chaotix, Charmy happy to be a freebie once again, whilst Vector, Knuckles and Espio try to debate over what's just happened. The Babylon Rose can be seen off to the side, as they all struggle to try and push Big the Cat, who's currently sat down on their extreme gear he's using as a resting bench. Metal Sonic, the Deadly Six, Chaos, Infinite, and Mephiles are nowhere to be seen. Noticing everyone's return, the crowd all face the heroes. Amy calls out, "Sonic!" and runs over, quickly followed by Tangle and Cream. Sonic lurches back as he's suddenly hugged by Amy, whilst Cream hops around happy to see everyone back and shares a smile with Blaze. Knuckles walks over clapping.
Well done, guys. I have no idea what you did, but it worked.
And he looks over to the crater.
Must have been one heck of a fight, though. Mad I missed it. Speaking of missing things, Shadow, where's Metal Sonic?
My wish was to return my allies. He does not count.
What? The nerve! After everything I've done for you. Well then, Sage, we must be off. Metal's probably locked in cyberspace somewhere. We need to get him out.
Of course.
I would say I would look forward to meeting you all again, but that would be a lie.
As Eggman begins to fly away, from the crowd, a metallic arm points a gun towards his Eggmobile. Rouge flies in front of Omega. Come on now, Omega, is now really the time? Affirmative. And he shoots at the Eggmobile, spiraling it off course slightly, but not destroying it.
Oh! Dr. Eggman has escaped. I will pursue.
You're so one note, you know that? Just be happy we're back.
Negative. Happiness will get in the way of my revenge.
Shadow approaches those two.
Good to see you back. Shadow.
Oh, Shadow! Well done!
Are you guys alright?
Believe it or not, being trapped in small spaces is something a spy gets used to after a while.
I am never at peace, imprisoned or not, until my mission is complete.
Classic Sonic and the Rookie come up the tail. Good to see you guys are alright. But now we're gonna have to figure out a way to get you home, buddy, he says, looking to Classic Sonic, who nods. The Rookie pledges to assist Tails in this endeavour. Blaze comes up to Silver and puts a hand on his shoulder. Are you okay, Silver? Yeah, I just had a, near-death experience. I'm still not quite sure what to think about it. Styx then runs up and puts her hand on his other shoulder, but more aggressively. You must be a zombie! Coming back from the dead! I'm not a zombie! I don't think. I don't know what happened. I'm just glad to be back. Sonic then walks up to Shadow. Well, Shadow, I don't really know what else to say other than thanks. You've been a great help. But I do need one more teeny favour. You can't be serious. Well, there's a lot of us here and we've all got different things to do, places to be, and, well, we're on an island. And unlike me, not everyone can run off. At this point, other members have gathered around Shadow as well.
Yeah, Shadow, I really need to get back to Angel Island.
I don't want to be around any of you any longer. They all make a good point, Shadow. Very well. And thanks to still possessing all 7 Chaos Emeralds, Shadow clutches his hands and looks to the sky.
Chaos?
And there we have it. The finale to the Sonic Frontiers Starfall Tournament. I really, sincerely hope you have a good time with this. Man, has this series become more than I intended it to be when I began. This was the first proper long-running What If I wanted to give a go, and I did not anticipate it would have gone up to part 17. And since I've been working on it weekly, non-stop, since I began on April 1st, I've been doing this for 17 weeks, which is a long time. A long time, and it took a long time every week to get these out, especially as it went on. I kept on trying to make things bigger and better, and that means it took more time, but I really do hope it paid off. This has been great fun, as well as a very big challenge, but it was worthwhile, I think. I'm glad I got to represent the characters in the way I feel they are best presented. This is kind of as long as a cartoon or anime series. It's 17 episodes, with the shortest one being, I think, 14 minutes or something like that, and this one being the longest, and there's a fair few that are around the 20-minute mark. So the Starfall Tournament really is a series in and of itself. I just want to thank each and every one of you that's been tuning in and engaging with this What If series. It really makes the difference for me, having people actually look forward to these videos and talking about them and getting excited about them. It really makes it worthwhile, and it's been such a pleasure to be able to actually live up and complete this series without any breaks, without stopping, without any delays. It has always come out, and I'm glad we've made it to this end. So, for one last time, if you enjoyed this series, please share it around so that other people may discover it and join in on the fun. I would love for people to be able to enjoy this series as much as I've enjoyed making it. And with all of that said and done, thank you for watching this video all the way to the end. I hope you have a great day, and to see you next time. This is the Mighty Emperor, signing off.